relationship type of
The
guy.
thing that's different this year, I'll ask you about this, Sam, is that they've got somebody with a disability, and that disability is what used to be called club foot.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. There are other as the first disabled contestant. Well, actually, in 2018, there was someone who was neurodivergent. So it's not quite correct, and I think this is where we get confused when we talk about physical disabilities and invisible disabilities. So he's not the first person on Love Island with a disability. For representation, I'm actually quite happy, just because there was quite a damaging report recently called Doubling Disability, where all broadcasters were asked to double their representation, and all broadcasters kind of fell short of that. So I definitely think it's we're going in the right direction for representation. I might actually tune in. I'm not a Love Island fan, but I might tune in just from a sociological point of view to see whether Hugo, his name, actually discloses his disability. That's always kind of a sticking point for me when I go on dating sites. Like, do I disclose my disability and potentially face, kind of prejudice from the get-go, or do I kind of leave it a little bit and then go ta-da, and see how people respond. So it's going to be interesting. I might tune in.
Well, yeah, people have said, well, the level of disability he's got, Gemma, is not the same as having somebody who uses a wheelchair, for example. Yeah. But it's progress, as Sam says.
It is progress. And I think, the great thing is today we've got Samantha on to talk about it. So I guess what happens is you start a wider discussion, don't you, Samantha? And by the way, Sam, I don't know if you remember, the last lunch that I had before lockdown was with you.
Yeah.
You remember? And then I remember it was when everything was starting to change. And then I was like, I've had lunch with someone who's potentially quite vulnerable when we didn't know whether we had COVID or not. So I was quite worried. And then I knew you were safe. And then you told me you thought you might have had it.
Yeah, because I couldn't smell anything. You remember when we were out and about, we went past a florist and you were like, oh, isn't it beautiful? I was like, nope, can't smell a thing.
We didn't know.
I just wonder whether it's all because you were 3 sheets to the wind. Who only knows?
Down.
But where's Love Island? Where's the fatty? Where's the fatty in all of this? They've all got 8-packs and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I make a sort of silly point, I suppose, but there's also a serious point, which is this is a program that a lot of people watch and they think that that's kind of normal. Most people don't look like that, and I think that we have a real problem with people's bodies and images and all this sort of stuff. I mean, when are they just going to have a collection of like regular people? Some people are like that, and some people aren't.
Hugo, who you saw, who has this disability, that's a start, isn't it?
But it's chiseled everything else.
He is chiseled. Yeah,
so it's
he's
like,
chiseled.
come on, okay, well done. You've ticked a box, but I'm not sure you're necessarily fighting the cause. Yeah, I mean, if
you want to see someone with 5 bellies.
Well, just the one. But I mean, it's. I think we've got a bit of an image problem, because I think if you're not careful, you then project this image and say, well, that's how you must be. And if you're not like this, then you're never going to be allowed onto this show. You're never going to be allowed into this thing.
Or be fancied.
Or be fancied, or this or that or the other.
Sam wants to come in.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, but equally, to say, well, people can be sexy, and, we can be good looking, and we can, want to look after our bodies. I think we're often kind of infantilized and seen as, non-sexual beings. So actually, if you flip it on its head, I quite like the fact that you have someone who is pretty darn hot, who has a disability. So that's a positive. That's, for me, it's a positive.